Hello, everybody. Welcome to another Storytell Staging Inside the Home Staging TV YouTube channel. I am your host, Tori Toth, and today's guest has worked with designers and stagers for many years creating beautiful homes. She's worked as a photo stylist for top brands like Target. She is an award-winning home stager who is the president and owner of Show Homes Minneapolis. Please welcome Ann Jensen Warren. How are you?
Hi, Tori. I'm doing really well. Thanks so much for having me on your show today.
I'm super excited you're here. We've got some people joining us now. So, guys, as you're joining us, come say hi. And if you have any questions, please let us know in the comments below. And so much to talk about. This is such an important topic because why is it important for home stagers to think like a photo stylist?
Yeah. So, Tori, let me just give you a little bit of my background. You mentioned it a little bit in the introduction. And so I was a photo stylist for commercial photography for a number of years. And in that, I think I got a perspective of what it is that a marketing team might be looking for in doing a photo shoot for commercial photography. And so it's a real collaborative experience to work as a photo stylist. We're working with a team of people who are part of that corporate marketing team. So an art director, photographer, photo stylist, some of the other people that would come into play. We all need to talk about what is going to really make a hero shot for a particular product or a lookbook or whatever we might be working on. And so I can see that my work as a home stager translates to that pretty well because at the end of the day, our work as home stagers is really about how it looks on camera. As we know, especially now during these days of COVID, a lot of people are shopping for homes online before they ever walk into the door and request a showing of a particular property. And so if you can really think about what your photography is going to look like, what your home staging is going to look like once it is photographed and up for everybody to look at, it's going to make a big difference in the quality of work that you do and how you begin to see your work and what you're producing for your real estate agent partner.
What's the dip? First, let's go back because you mentioned hero shot, and let's explain to everyone what that actually is.
Sure. Yeah. Thanks for letting me clarify that. So a hero shot would be if you, like, I'm just thinking of an example right now. If I were doing a photo shoot for let's just say it might be a plate of Oreo cookies. So it could be anything because, anything that's out there is needing to be marketed and photographed and everything. So they would actually hire a food stylist to come in and arrange a plate of cookies and, or maybe just one with the milk pouring in and so forth for their package design, whatever you might think of. So to get a hero shot, it might take all day to get one shot that is going to work for that package design. And maybe it takes 10 to 20 different tries at getting just all of the right lighting and the right angle of the cookie and the pour of the milk and things like that. And so we don't go through that much of an effort in home staging to get what the photographer would consider their hero shots. It's, they're in there for a couple of hours to shoot the work and then they're done and turning it over to the agents. But it is our job as home stagers to really make sure that the home is set so that it's ready for the photographer to come in. And I don't usually get a chance to be on site when my photographers are coming in to shoot our home staging. Usually that's hired out through the real estate agent. And so I have a little less control of the angles that they're shooting. I think that what I'd like to see is that there would be more collaboration. So I could be on site and say, let's capture it from this angle. And sometimes we like the way our work is photographed and sometimes we're like, maybe not. But it's a give and take, and just making sure that we as home stagers are really taking a look at perspectives and where the sight lines are for the photographer to come in and hoping that they are looking at it through a similar lens too. But usually they're pretty experienced in knowing what they're looking for, so they're capturing the architectural features of the home and some of the other things that are important, not just my home staging elements, but also the home itself.
Yeah. So talk about the difference between looking at a room through a lens versus real life, right?
Yeah.
Because it looks completely different.
Yeah. So again, in the studio, one of the things that I had an opportunity to do, say for example, if my job was to be doing food or just straight on product, I would set it. I would get the shot how I thought it should look, how it was looking good to me. But then I would step behind the camera. I'd of course ask the cameraman, can I take a look? And we would talk about it together. What is it looking like when it's actually there in front of me behind the camera? And then that's where I could oftentimes tweak it. I would be like, okay, I think that Oreo cookie needs to get turned a little bit so we see the lettering on it more, and the shadows are coming in here, so let's slide it over a little bit. And so getting behind the lens of the camera is a good way to get that perspective, and it's not just standing back and looking at the room. And one of the things that's really good to do too, and I'm sure a lot of you do it, is to take your own photographs as you're wrapping up on staging day. Take some pictures. Just look at those pictures, study them, and see if there's some adjustments that you might need to make to some of the accessories or even the way your furniture is placed.
I think you'd actually be surprised at how many people forget to take those final photos at the end of everything because they're just so tired with staging, or like trying to get them to do video too.
Mm-hmm.
But that's an important point, why it is so important, not only so you have proof of what's in the room, how your actual design looks, but then to go back and tweak things for how the photographer's going to see it. So you've shared some photos with us, and I'm going to pop them up in here and go to a bigger view here. If you just give me 1 second. Oops. There you go. So talk a little bit about this photo and how it was, how the behind the scenes of it, like how was it styled?
Sure. So this was a project that we did. This is my portfolio on our house.com site. And so in this particular shot, we were working with a home builder, and we had our staging in there for, I think it was about a year that we worked on this project while they were in development for the condos. And so we had come in and placed the furniture. Of course, they were selling more units. So it was, this was their model home. And in this situation, this is coming in through the front door, and the photographer did prop that door open, and I think it gives a nice welcoming perspective of somebody that might be shopping online. It's like, oh, it's a sunny day out there, and it's warm and welcoming. And so then the rest of the furniture, maybe you can scroll through into some of the other photos that we talked about, Tori.
Yeah, let me just say something about this. Like, I love this photo because of this big piece here. It's obviously prominent, but your eye does go to the door, and you're like, ooh, what's happening in here, right? You want to be warm, you want to come in. But even in this bigger piece, you're looking into the mirror that's in the center of it, and it's like, oh my gosh, what's going on? So it's like you're playing on that perspective of, I want to see more, I want to see more.
Yeah, that's a really good point. So this particular shot isn't the best one because of the sofa coming into the shot and everything. It would have been a better shot if the photographer would have stepped past the point of the sofa. But that's what it was. But it also, I think, gives you a little bit of a perspective that it's an open concept room where that living room that you just saw lends itself straight into the dining room and kitchen. And so here again, you have a beautiful shot of the whole space going into the dining room, into the kitchen.
Mm-hmm.
You can see where there's just enough accessories, but not too much.
I feel like this would be the perfect Instagram shot.
Yeah. I need to get get more active on Instagram. So thanks for that. But you can see too there, they have the beautiful blue cabinetry, the kind of navy royal blue cabinetry. And
Yeah, let
then,
me go to that wide shot for you.
yeah. What I was going to say about if you go back one or two, the plates that are propped up against the cabinets, can you see those?
Yeah.
Yeah. So that ties in, of course, with the blue, and so I think that it continues to draw your eye forward again, so that you can see the color scheme continuing to happen throughout. And as we created the color story for this particular property, we did carry that blue color into the bedroom and into the bath area and everything. So we were real consistent with the color story on this particular project, as we do with all of ours.
So talk about that, the color story. How many colors? How often are you putting these things in the room? Just share a little bit more about that.
Yeah, so when we create a staging plan, we are usually also considering the story that we want to create around it, and a lot of that is about the color story. So we like to, as home stagers, I think a lot of us, and some of you may have a different perspective on it, but it's different, of course, than interior design, where we're neutralizing a lot of what might be going on if it's a home that's a previous build and there's been a family living in there. A lot of times we'll take down the curtains, we'll take down a lot of the personality that has been brought in by the family, and we're creating it to be appealing for 80% of the people who might be viewing that home. So we're creating a pretty neutral palette, and a lot of our inventories, mainstay pieces, our big furniture pieces, might be cream colored neutral sofas, and then getting we create that color story then when we're pulling the pillows and we're pulling the bedding and pulling the other accessories. And it's not like we would pull blue into all of our accessories, but we might pull a combination of really beautiful textiles to go with that blue color story, or whatever. Blue is kind of a hot one for us, for a while. And I know those change over the years, so it's important to be current on color trends and everything. But then we would pull that into the bedding textiles too. And so we are mindful when we're back in our studio and pulling for the job, that these are the colors we're pulling through the house, and making sure that all of those are really creating a consistent look throughout the home.
So besides color and kind of directing the eye that way in the picture, what are some other photo styling tips for stagers to kind of think about as they're positioning pieces in the room, as well as once they do take the picture? Like, what are some things that they should be looking for or tweaking?
Yeah, well, I think your comment about that mirror was a really good one, because you want to use some larger statement pieces to create your wow. So a large mirror like that, or big pictures. I've got a nice botanical on the wall behind me, and some of the pieces that you're really making an investment in to be those wow pieces. And then being mindful of the smaller florals and things like that. Right now, that organic look, maybe an organic bread bowl, or like some chunky wood piece to put some moss balls into. So again, you've got the organics of green natural moss going into an unfinished kind of bread bowl, dough bowl sort of thing. And then I guess that balance between having some large statement pieces and then things that are more subtle. So of course we don't want everything to be large and just screaming in your face, but really taking a look at creating balance in it's going to catch the potential buyer's attention and feel real pleasing, and yet not be overstated.
I remember when I would be out staging physical homes, that when we would sit there and take the pictures, a lot of times you either have things overlapping that look weird in the picture, or that there's just not enough space in your vignettes, or things like that. Or, the space is real, the room is really big. So in the grand scale of things, you have the furniture positioned the way it should, but in order for the accent chair in the corner to make the picture, you got to bring it in, right? So there's some movement with these pieces, from real life to photos, right?
That's really true, and I guess that's what we would consider sight lines. So you want to think about what are you going to be seeing when that cameraman comes in? Is the camera going to capture those elements that are making that room so beautiful? So that's a really good point, and being able to, and again, if it depends if your camera person is on site with you or not, you may or may not have control over whether that side chair gets into the shot. But as you step back in the room and really taking another look at things, thinking, okay, does that lamp, is that in the right place? Like maybe it's on a lower armed end table, but maybe in reality it should be behind you on the sideboard behind the sofa. So as you do it for a while, you start to realize that, okay, that's the right placement for that, and it's going to show nicely in the camera, in the shot that we capture.
Well, we've got some more pics here of your stuff. So can we kind of maybe break down the sight line of this room?
Yeah. So I think if you look at that room, some of the things that, and I'd be interested to hear your thoughts too, what come at you right away. I think that the first thing that I see when I look at this particular shot is of course the back of the stools, and the stools are real subtle. And the wood from the stools tie in, bring your eye up to the beams in the ceiling. And so you can see that it's a really nice, clean palette with the beautiful countertops and the white kitchen, and then the stainless steel. They're all real subtle in what they're doing, but play together so beautifully. And then, of course, your eye goes back to that beautiful lake and beautiful, lush yard in the background. The property is on a beautiful, is beautifully landscaped, and you can really capture that, I think, through a lot of the photos that are in the shots in this particular property. Is there anything else that your eye goes to that I didn't mention, Tori?
I mean, for me, like what you said, I mean, my eye didn't start necessarily at the stools. It started at the ceiling because that beam is physically coming off of the picture. You know what I mean? Yeah. The way they angled it. And then as you start looking down that beam, you go straight to that amazing window, but then you take a step back because you see all those lines on the countertop too that kind of mimic what's happening in the beam. And then you can see kind of everything, all the other details in the picture.
Right.
But yeah, I love that they have that little, the veins in the marble.
Yeah, isn't that great?
Countertop right there.
Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm. What about from this direction?
Yeah, so there again, we have there again, you can kind of see the color story with pillows, being able to add some texture, something else for the eye to go with. I always love to tell the story. When we did this house, it was a huge house, and I found a sale on pillows one day, and I went and bought these darn little pillows for this house, and I think I bought 75 pillows just for that house.
Oh my
My husband was about ready to shoot me, but you know how that goes. Stagers and their pillows.
We need lots of pillows.
I know. And so then, the big piece of fruit on the table is a fun statement piece that your eye doesn't linger there too long. It's like, oh, okay, that's a fun piece. But then it goes on to look at what else is happening. And of course, our job as stagers is really to sell the home. So we don't want it to be so much about our props and the things that we bring in, but my eye goes to those beautiful windows. It's the architectural features in the home that somebody is really going to be buying, and the square footage in the home. And you can see it's a very gracious space. The table is a good balance for the room. again, we see the beautiful beams on the ceiling, and then just how casually it blends into the kitchen area.
Yeah, I love that. I mean, whoever photographed this room obviously knows the right lighting balance to be able to get not only the outside exposed properly, but the inside.
Yeah.
And the fact that you didn't decide, well, let's use yellow or red pillows, I mean, really allows you to see the exterior, right? Because it kind of blends in with what's happening outside, the blues, the greens, and it's not distracting you from physically looking out the window.
Yeah, and just something you said there. I'm not sure the experience level of the group that we have on today, but I've always been told that red is a really difficult color to photograph. It pops too much, and so that's all your eye goes to. So I really don't like to bring in too much red into our staging elements.
Yes, I totally agree.
Yeah.
Anything with this picture?
Yeah. So this just was one of my favorite little spots in this house. The cozy little place in front of the fireplace. I wish maybe I have some more shots in the portfolio on this, but when we came in, they had initially had, I can't remember for sure what kind of furniture they had in there, but it just wasn't the right scale and it wasn't working. And we replaced it with these 2 club chairs, and there's a small table in the middle, and it just feels like the perfect place where I'd love to start my day and have a cup of coffee or wind down at the end of the day with the fire. And so even though it's not that big of a space, it really turned out to be a very cozy little area that we created. And again, you can't see it so much in the picture. It's a blue and white striped chair, and then the rug had those same tones of blue in it. So once again, we're carrying the color story through and being consistent with it.
I love it. And then, oh yeah, this picture, the way they shot it to get the ceilings as well as just the exterior too is another.
Yeah, the photographer that did shoot this house is one of my favorite photographers. I think he does a really great job of being able to, like you said, create the lighting and create all of the capture the exterior areas. And I'm happy with his work every time he shoots one of our projects. And so, the house had some really special architectural features to it. And I do love, like you said, how it's captured here. And just you can see the beautiful stonework on the fireplace. And all of our stuff in this room is pretty subtle, right? Your eye doesn't really even go to what we've put in the room, but it all works because it's balanced.
Exactly. I love it. You do amazing work. So, Ann, how should a stager go about getting started with this in terms of, do they go out and find a photographer? Do they work with the real estate agent photographers? Like what's your advice on this?
Well, I have rarely had to hire a photographer to work with. So almost, well, let's see, I shouldn't say that. I was going to say almost all of my work comes through my relationships with realtors, but that's not necessarily true. Sometimes my phone will ring and it's a homeowner who wants home staging, and then the realtor relationship comes after that. And sometimes they're looking for a realtor that I've worked with, but a lot of times they'll already know somebody that they're working with, and so that's a great opportunity to get a new realtor relationship. And I think my recommendation, though, in getting started with it is to develop your network of real estate agents and get to be the favored stager for a couple of agents, and your business just really starts to grow with that. If they're busy and they like your work, and it's not always about liking your work, but it's liking you. It's somebody who's easy to get along with and who's collaborative and willing to listen to their needs, and being able to work with their timelines. We work with a lot of different price level homes. We have one realtor whose wheelhouse is their target market homes are $250,000, and they sell a lot of homes. And then we also have agents who are in the luxury bracket and who are selling multi-million-dollar homes. And those are always really special to work on. And yet the ones that we do of those homes aren't as frequent because it's there's just a greater volume on mid-priced homes. And so I think being willing to, especially if you're starting out, being willing to get. I just had a big heater go off in my studio. It distracted me. So, anyways, being able to get some connections, and maybe a good way to start is with a realtor who's kind of just starting out, and growing your businesses together and letting them introduce you to some of the other people in their offices, and growing your business. Like I said, this one realtor, we've seen that now he's upping his price point a little bit, and I'm not sure if that's intentional or not, but I think he's starting to get some better listings too, because but I don't know if his target will ever change. I think that's his strategy, is to really go in there. But they're so amazed every time we work with them, and we probably do 2 stagings a week with them. And so they're just like, it changes the dynamic of their business to have a good home stager, because they know it'll sell fast. And that's really what it's about for them, is being able to get top dollar and get the property to sell quickly, because it's money in everybody's pocket, for the homeowner and the real estate agent. And so it's a win-win. It's really a good partnership.
Yeah, I mean, having that collective team, like that marketing team, because at the end of the day, home staging is just part of the marketing of it all. It's a great way to come together in front of the home seller to really make a difference and stand out amongst your competition.
Mhm.
Guys, we got a couple more minutes left. So if you have questions, let us know in the comments below. I do see kind of a question here saying these photos are so crisp, clean, and the color representation is spot on. I couldn't agree with you more, Jeanine or Jeannie. I often find that the final listing photography has been filtered and the color is distorted. Have you experienced that, Anne?
That's not jumping to my mind as being something that I feel like resonates with me. I'm sorry if that's happening for you. There goes my heater again. Can you hear it? I'm sorry about that.
A little bit, but it's okay.
Okay.
It's not that distracting. Yeah, I mean, you want to be careful if you are working with a photographer who is always distorting the photos. And in fact, a lot of real estate photographers aren't allowed to do that, or they can only go so far without breaking state laws and things like that. Correct me if I'm wrong, Anne.
No, I believe you're right on that. Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So I've seen stagers in the past too really take on the marketing role and photography and supply photographers to their agents, and also, take that initiative and kind of be there when all that's happening as well, to really take control of that marketing piece of it.
Mm-hmm.
Do you think that this is another way stagers can generate income with this skill?
I think they could. I think if you have a realtor who was willing to take that on, and the photographer too, right now I feel like I'd probably add it as a side part of the service that I provide for the realtor. I don't know that I would charge extra for it. Have you found that some stagers do charge extra for that service?
I think they do like photo styling versus like an actual staging. So like, I've even done that in the past too, where before they go in and do photos, we go in and kind of move things around real quickly and set things up. I think it's just another way to say, occupied staging, right? Really.
Exactly. Yeah.
But I think there's something to be said of having the same people work together and know how to really crank out a process like this and make it make it seamless and make it really easy for the seller to kind of get it all done.
Yeah, yeah. I think you're right on that. And then, I think another way that you could get out there and make some extra money on it is I know I did a job one time when I was more in the photo styling realm. They had hired me to come into to a hotel, to a chain hotel, and style the rooms. So, again, they needed somebody to come in with their corporate photographer and make sure that the bedding was just perfect and the different elements in that room. And so I think that we can take our skill set and go outside of the box of just, thinking about homes. It's like commercial projects and some other things that you might be able to think about. Who else is, really needs our services and needs to make sure that they have all of that professional photography. And usually the work of a photographer is just to go in and shoot. Um, so to be a stylist, we always had sort of an unspoken rule when we were on a project that the photographer doesn't touch the work of the photo stylist. And likewise, that's why I would always ask the photographer if I could look behind his lens, because I didn't want to feel like I was stepping in on his territory. But they really rely on the photo stylist and the home stager, that we are creating the look and we're creating all of the elements that are going into the shot. And it's their job to get the lighting right and to get all of the technical aspects of photography right. So there's a lot of opportunity as home stagers as you start to think about ways that you might be able to expand and work with photographers. Just call some photographers too and see what kind of commercial work they're doing, and if they're working on projects that allow in the budget for a stylist, let them know that you're experienced in that. And I worked for a while for Target.com, and we were doing, for the most part, we were doing product photography where, maybe we were selling a line of bedding. Well, it was my job to steam all of that bedding and to have it perfect. So, take it out of the packaging. We'd get it into the studio, take it out of the packaging, steam it, and then lay it on the bed. So we had to create all of those beautiful beds, and then they also would shoot, maybe a close up of just what does that comforter look like in its package and things. And so there's a lot that goes into all of it. And if you live in a city where there's commercial photography taking place, it's a good opportunity to showcase your skills there and to be able to develop some connections. And a lot of photo stylists are freelance photographer or photo stylists, and so you might be hired to come into the studio for a day or 2 days. It would be my job to go and shop for everything that is needed to create like the scene for the front of a catalog. And so maybe a holiday catalog or magazine coming up, it would be my job to make all of the selections for that and all of the props and everything. So just shopping might take a day, and then getting it ready and going into the studio and working with the team to get it all set up. It could be almost a week's worth of work just doing that. And so it's a nice and fun kind of work to do, and I think it really does go hand in hand with the skills of a home stager.
I feel like it was a natural progression from you to be on the photo stylist side to then come into staging. Like, what was the final straw or decision that made you be like, I'm becoming a stager?
Well, it didn't happen that fast. So my progression was I was a photo stylist, and I was really starting to enjoy that work. I had been I had raised my kids, was a stay-at-home mom for many years, and then when I felt like I wanted to start working again, then it was actually a girlfriend of mine. We had them over for a barbecue, and she was a photo stylist, and she said, "Ann, you should really be a food stylist." She just saw the way I presented the food every time they'd come over for dinner, on the platters, like some of us just throw it on the platter and I would present it nicely. And I just thought that's what we do because, that's just a natural thing that I do. And so that kind of got me thinking. And so then I started, she kind of showed me, opened a lot of inroads for me and connections and brought me on a lot of jobs. And so that was a wonderful opportunity for me to learn that whole world of photo styling. And so I was doing that for a few years. And then my husband started a business. It was an e-commerce business. And it took off really fast. And so I kind of put my creative endeavors aside to help him with our family business. And so then all of a sudden I was managing a rapidly growing company and developing teams in our company and training people for all of the different needs of that e-commerce business. And we had our distribution center. We had about 10,000 square feet and 3,500 different products and everything. And so after we sold that business, then I was taking some time off and thinking about what's next in my life. And a friend of mine who's a business broker said, "Hey, Ann, I know that the gal who owns your local franchise in Minneapolis for show homes wants to sell the business. Would you ever consider buying it?" And so once I took a serious look at it and everything, I was like, yeah, this makes a lot of sense. So he saw too. He saw that, that was something that I was natural at and loved. And so I think the progression for me was good because I got an opportunity to be a business owner in my other business with my husband. And then I was able to know that, okay, I know what it's like to run a business and I know I love the creative endeavors. And so it's been a nice fit for me. And I actually don't do much of the staging, to tell you the truth. I have a team of designers and assistants and movers and stuff. And so I'm actually trying to work my way out of being in the homes and staging because I see my role as being that of the business owner and growing the business. And so I have very talented designers that work with me, and I can trust them to go out there and do the installations and do the planning and everything that is really the creative side of it. I get stuck with the boring stuff.
But the stuff that actually matters. So if people want to learn more about you, Ann, where can they go?
Well, you can follow us on Facebook, Show Homes Minneapolis, and check out our site on House. Again, it's Show Homes Minneapolis. Our website is Show Homes Minneapolis. I'm starting to get going a little bit more on Instagram, and that is, I think it's Show Homes MN. So lots of different ways to follow us. Shoot me an email. My email address is ajensen@showhomes.com. And I got married about a year and a half ago. So now I'm Ann Jensen Warren, but my email is still ajensen@showhomes.com.
Congrats.
Yeah, thanks. So second marriage, I told you all about. Yeah. Your endeavors.
We all have past lives as stagers,
Yeah,
right? Yeah.
indeed.
Any final thoughts when it comes to photo styling tips for home stagers?
Well, I home stagers are just such a unique and creative group of people, and I think that if you're home staging, you probably have a lot of natural instincts to photo styling. There's a lot of good information that you can Google and read about. Just Google photo styling, and you'll start to see some really good resources if you feel like that's a career direction that you want to pursue. I haven't been in photo studios for a number of years, and I know that places like Target were starting to send a lot of their work offshore. So I'm not real familiar. And then digital photography kind of interrupted the professional photography studios because I think people could get good quality photos on their cell phones and with social media. We've become much more casual about photos too, right? And
we're getting photo bombed right now.
Hi. Oh, such a sweetie.
Yeah.
And so, and I think too, it helps if you live in a big city. And maybe some of the smaller communities do have some people who have active photography studios, but and the other thing that I'd say is set up informational interviews with people who are in that world. Maybe some art directors, photographers, of course, and just start poking around. You might find that there's just a real unique arena that opens up to you, and you can sell your services. And I know you'd be successful. Yeah, it's you've already got the training, and just grab onto your confidence and do it. It's a lot of fun. It's a lot of fun.
I love that tip. And I definitely think that you guys, if you're not following Ann already, make sure that you go ahead and do that. And if you have questions about photo styling, make sure you leave those in the comments below. Thank you guys so much for checking us out live and watching the replay. We want to hear from you. Let us know what you learned in this video. Let us know what videos you want to see next. And until next week, happy staging, everyone.
Thanks a lot.
Bye, Ann.